In this respect, Parliament has the same powers as the High Court to enforce the attendance of witnesses and examine them on oath, affirmation, or otherwise. Although the courts have held that the power to summon under Article 125 of the Constitution should not be exercised in an arbitrary or capricious manner and should be preceded by attempts at consultation and mediation, it is clear that the various committees of the Senate have made several attempts to invite the governor to appear before issuing the summons. In both instances, the governor has failed to appear in a clear disregard of the Senate's power under the Constitution. This conduct by the governor not only undermines the rule of law, but obstructs the Senate from discharging its role as a protector of counties under Article 96(1) of the Constitution and the primary organ of oversight on the use of public funds by county governments under Article 96(3) of the Constitution. This is not acceptable. It cannot be allowed to continue. Honorable Senators, in light of this, I therefore guide all committees which had issued summons to the governor of Isiolo to appear, and in which the governor failed to appear, to liaise with the Inspector of Police as a matter of urgency and require the Inspector General of Police to produce the governor before the respective committees at a determined date and time. This is not a favor. This is not a favor that the Senate or its committees are asking of the Inspector General of Police. The defiance displayed by the governor of Isiolo in respect to invitations and summons of the Senate cannot persist. The Inspector General of Police must, in exercise of his mandate pursuant to Article 245(2)(b) of the Constitution, extend the necessary support to the committees in order to secure the appearance of the governor. It is also expected that if recourse to the courts becomes necessary, such action will robustly be pursued in courts as well. It is also open to the Honorable Senator for Isiolo, and indeed any other senator, to use the legislative mechanisms available and our standing orders, including a censure motion, to deal with the errant conduct of the governor of Isiolo. I thank you.
Mr. Speaker, let me first of all acknowledge the good work that Senator Dulo has been doing for the people of Isiolo. Mr. Speaker, if it wasn't for her diligence in ensuring that those people get their services, those hospitals are open, which are now shut, that the people get services, we would not be discussing this matter. This is unprecedented, Mr. Speaker. This is the first time that your chair has actually almost censured a sitting governor. This House protects devolution. This House, the framers of the Constitution, gave it powers to be able to ensure accountability, a fiduciary responsibility on those who are given that responsibility by the citizens. Mr. Speaker, I sit in the Public Accounts Investment Committee, and it is quite sad because our job is very simple: to ensure that we take these governors to task and ensuring that they use the resources wisely. I've listened to your communication, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I don't intend to vary your communication. It's well thought out, but I think we've got the powers in this House. Article 125, our Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, Section 19 and 18, gives us that power. We have penalized this, or we have fined this governor, I think twice now. That's 1 million shillings. We want to know whether that person, whether he has paid that to the clerk of the House. Mr. Speaker, we have a police station which is domiciled in the presence of Parliament. Why can't we authorize that? I know the law does not allow us to direct the Inspector General of Police, but I believe that the powers given to us by the Constitution, Article 125, where we sit like a high court, we can be able to compel that witness to appear. Mr. Speaker, in the last Parliament, we worked closely with the Ministry of Finance, and we were able to stop certain funds from going to a particular county. I think, Mr. Speaker, with your position and the powers given to this House, we can be able to take the same direction. I think Article 255, or is it 225, lays out the procedure on which the Cabinet Secretary can stop funds. But this time around, we have got to think out of the box. We've got to be unorthodox in our thinking in order to be able to defend devolution. We have to find a way to stop those funds, and whoever is protecting this individual, because he boasts around and he says the way he's untouchable, must also take judicial notice that in this country, in this Senate, we will demand accountability. The only way, Mr. Speaker, that we can be able to ensure the people of Isiolo gets their services is if we all suspend any other discussion today, any other business, and we deal with this matter. We can censure that governor, even if he's not sitting here. Mr. Speaker, I was watching a video of a young lady in Isiolo who was taken to the hospital. She was in ICU for 25 days. And she had to be told, go home, because the hospital is closed. Seriously? We can sit here as senators and allow devolution to die? Allow people to be able to thumb chest and say that they are untouchable? I think it's about time that we remind these governors that power is transient. Today you are so powerful, tomorrow you are nothing. You know, literally nothing. Mr. Speaker, to use the Swahili word, hii ni dhuluma. You know, this guy is really, I don't even know what to say. You know, he's so drunk with power, he's humiliating his citizens. He was not elected to be able to go there and make people suffer. We must remind these people that power is transient.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving this opportunity. Indeed, when we campaign in this country, we promise all kinds of good things to our electorate. It is very unfortunate that some of us get in the office and they forget the very same things that we promised. Mr. Speaker, sir, I've heard from my neighbor here, the senator from Marsabit, his frustration with the governor for Isiolo. He has issued many invitations, but he has ordered none of them. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are elected as leaders to sit down and listen together. At times, the issues that we invite governors and other officials to appear before our committees are not intended to serve our own interest, but the interest of the community and the society of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is indeed quite important that when we are addressing such issues, we put mechanism in place to ensure that such persons who do not honor the invitations of committees, who even do not honor the summons, and that has happened quite a number of times, Mr. Speaker, and some of them are known to be quite extreme because they perceive themselves to be demigods. It is imperative that this House acts and behaves as in such a way to show such leaders that they are not demigods. Mr. Speaker, sir, the minute that we realize we've been elected to serve Kenyans, that is the time that we'll embrace servant leadership. It is quite unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, that a governor who's been elected by the electorate of Isiolo and who had promised to deliver cannot even honor a sit down with the senator. And this, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is the only way to ensure that we deliver a service to our people through collaborative, participatory approach that requires the leaders to sit down together, reason together, and come up with an amicable working solution that addresses the issue of our people. Mr. Speaker, sir, as a House, we can only be able to execute our mandate of oversight if we put instruments in place that will ensure that we do not remain truthless. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is quite unfortunate and very, very sad that in the 21st century, somebody who platformed on the premise that he's going to deliver services cannot appear before this House, not that he's being asked personal questions, but questions that have to do with the way he's pushing the issues of Isiolo, governance issue, accountability and transparency. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is the high time that we show the world and the whole country that we as senators of this country, we mean business and we want to ensure that services are delivered to them. And the only way to do that, Mr. Speaker, sir, is to bite and bite very hard. Mr. Speaker, sir, you have didn't say that we can tell or request the IG to bring such a person and all any other person before the committee. We must do it, Mr. Speaker, because if we fail to do that, Mr. Speaker, the law of this House that has been given to us by the Constitution of Kenya will remain unexecuted because we have arrogant people.
Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is very unfortunate sitting here and listening to the level of impunity by a governor who has refused to attend several committee invitations. Mr. Speaker, this particular governor appeared before my committee, and the kind of conduct he exhibited when he appeared before my committee, it was the most unbecoming conduct from a governor. He almost exchanged with some of the members who are asking valid questions on matters to do with governance in Isiolo County. Mr. Speaker, you remember that in this House I sponsored a bill, an amendment to the Powers and Privileges Act, where I said that we need to enhance the fine from 500,000 to 2 million shillings, and also put in provisions on how the arrest can be executed. That bill was passed by this House, and that bill is lying in the National Assembly. Maybe at this point we would wish the National Assembly to speed up the passage of that bill so that we can deal with matters like this of Isiolo. Mr. Speaker, I think some governors take it like a crime if we invite them to appear before Senate. They think that we are punishing them. Mr. Speaker, we are simply doing our oversight role.
Your communication is very well reasoned. The only thing I expect, Mr. Speaker, and that your ruling fell short of, and I want to believe it is out of the abundance of caution, not to be taken to be usurping the powers that belong to the chairpersons of our committee, is that you should actually have ordered the Inspector General of Police to search and produce the governor, wherever he is, if he's in Isiolo, Dubai, whichever part of the world he's in, Mr. Speaker, until he's produced here before the Senate. But given that this is a matter that is presently before various committees, then I agree with your wisdom, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I expect that at the next sitting of any of these committees that the governor has defied, the chairperson alongside the members will draft the summons and ask the Inspector General of Police to produce that that governor and ensure that he is in safe custody until the next sitting of that particular committee.
Speaker, what this governor has done is that he has disobeyed invitations and summons by various committees, requiring that each committee then contacts the Inspector General of Police to produce the governor before them. The Speaker, that may be a bit of a tall order. My thing is, the Speaker, would be, if it were possible, there are two options. One, either a motion is brought before this House, so the House passes a resolution requiring the Inspector General of Police to arrest and produce the governor, or alternatively, Mr. Speaker, the chairman of the liaison committee, where all the chairmen of committees sit, takes up the matter with the Inspector General of Police to require on behalf of the Senate, Mr. Speaker. Because what is happening, Mr. Speaker? What is happening is that the governor of Isiolo has shown contempt of the first degree, not against the committees, but against the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. Secondly, as you have heard from Senator Otsosi, you know, once that example is set, then it becomes very popular with other governors. And at the end of the day, what will happen is that then governors will be asked to appear before Senate. They will decide whether to come or not to come. Mr. Speaker, let this Senate in this case, ensure that the governor of Isiolo is physically arrested and locked up